George abused his son Jeremy ever since he was 6 years old, which is why Jeremy looked forward to going to a 12 and under summer camp every year. But on Jeremy's last day, George volunteered as a camp counselor. At first, things went great. But then, one day, Jeremy woke up from his bunk located in one of the cabins. And the only other person who was in the cabin was his father. Jeremy went looking for his shoes, but couldn't find them. Dad, have you seen my shoes? I threw them in the woods somewhere. Why would you do that? What do you mean, why would I do it? Like, those shoes were torn out, they're worn out. You look like a bum wearing those. Then what am I supposed to wear on my feet? You should have thought of that before we came here, haven't you? Like, no, you don't think of anything. You're so you're still fucking stupid to think of anything. You're never gonna go in life. You might as well just give up now. Jeremy went into the woods with his socks on, looking for his shoes, and his father chased him. Eventually, George caught up to Jeremy. George slapped Jeremy in the face as hard as he could, and as Jeremy was holding onto his face in agony, George removed Jeremy's hands from his face and bent his fingers backwards, causing even more pain. You worthless little bastard! George then slapped Jeremy in the face as hard as he could, in the other cheek. Now, normally, Jeremy would just cower in fear, but those years of abuse finally took its toll. Jeremy tackled his father to the ground, and Jeremy just kept hitting George over and over again. Jeremy was only 12 years old, and yet his father couldn't even defend himself. Eventually, after beating up Jeremy with his fist, he eventually died from his injuries. Jeremy went back to the camp, not telling anybody. But eventually, George's body was found by one of the camp counselors, and he called the police. The police immediately listed Jeremy as a prime suspect. After hours of interrogation, even with a lawyer present, Jeremy confessed. Now, because of Jeremy's age and the fact that he suffered years of abuse, he was only sentenced to about 3 years in juvenile detention. While Jeremy served his time in juvenile detention, the camp remained open. However, there were reports of the campers being brutally murdered, and it happened during those 3 years. The police investigated, but found no leads. Eventually, the camp shut down. And even though the camp is shut down, there are people who still go through the camp and through the woods, just hiking. And they hear voices in the wooded area, especially where George was murdered. They hear a man's voice belittling anybody who crossed paths.